Revenge on my mother-in-law who decided she would wear the exact same dress as me to my wedding. I was looking at my wedding photos today and thought this community would appreciate my success. It's a bit long with all the background, so go make a cuppa and settle in. My mother-in-law hated me from the moment we met. Think evangelical Catholic meets goth atheist. I moved in with her son and had a baby without getting married, and she truly believed I was the devil incarnate sent to draw her baby boy into the depths of hell. There followed years of petty microaggressions, a constant barrage of manipulation and guilt-tripping, and doing things like offering to watch the kids then pulling out half-hour before, or buying the kids a puppy when we expressly said no and then blaming us when she had to take the poor thing back. She pushed over my motorbike, turned up at my work, tried to rearrange the furniture in our house, and constantly talked about God and Jesus in front of the kids and told them they were going to hell because they weren't baptized. I went VLC and things were quiet for a while. I never cared about getting married. I felt weddings were a waste of money. I'd rather have a boat or a new motorbike, but it was important to hubby, so I agreed, on the condition that it was not a church wedding. Apart from the generally problematic nature of the church, I experienced religious trauma growing up and I wasn't prepared to compromise. Hubby agreed and we started planning. 2 days after we announced our engagement, to much wailing, gnashing of teeth and general dismay, a priest arrived on our doorstep. He had been sent by mother-in-law to schedule a date for our wedding and book us in for premarital counseling. I was very nice to him. After all, my issue was with the institution, not this poor guy, and thanked him for coming and told him we wouldn't be requiring any Catholic services for the wedding. He looked sad and expressed he was a bit nervous to let mother-in-law know. I offered him coffee and sympathy, and that was the start of an unlikely friendship. I was fairly annoyed by this stunt. I talked to my hubby, who at that time was so far in the fog that he couldn't see a hand in front of his face. He didn't see the big deal and asked me to just let it go. I thought about it for a day, then told him no. We had to address this immediately or it would escalate. I understood that he loved his mom and sisters, but that their obvious contempt for me was a problem. I don't like ultimatums, but by this point I'd been putting up with it for about 6 years. I laid it out. We address it now, or no wedding. It went about as well as you'd expect. We visited and hubby tried to talk to her about how inappropriate her actions were. She screamed at him and cried, and then his sister started on us both. Standing there, watching my hubby's heart break, my filter broke. I told them to stop, very loudly. Then, I told them that they were behaving like toddlers, that I was embarrassed by their antics and to consider this their first and only warning. If they tried anything like that again, or treated us with anything other than kindness and respect, not only would I cancel the wedding, I would tell their priest and all their friends about their disgusting behavior. If they wanted to be part of the planning, I would welcome their participation, but that hubby and I had the final say. Mother-in-law tried to speak, but I shushed her like Dr. Evil shushing Scott and we left. Hubby was distraught and I felt bad for him, but we got into couples counseling and things got better. Meanwhile, mother-in-law and the sisters-in-law seemed to have taken things on board and were maintaining a frosty civility, although I was banned from their house because I was scary. Fast forward about 12 months. Time for dress shopping. I hated the idea of a wedding dress. I hate pale colors. I hate dressing up. I hate dresses. Just everything about the idea made me want to fake a coma to get out of it, but I promised my own very religious mom and brother that we could do this together. So mom, mother-in-law, Sioux 3, brother and his wife all traipsed along with me to marvel at the sight of me in a dress. And it wasn't a bad day. The in-laws behaved and I found a dress that I didn't hate as much as the others. I paid for it and we left. The next day, I got a call from the shop. Mother-in-law and the sister-in-laws had ordered themselves the exact same dress as me. I told hubby and he didn't really believe it. I laughed about it for a bit, went back to the shop and ordered a new dress. This one was dark purple with black trim. And then I had the idea. I don't have a lot of female friends. But all my male friends have wives who had wedding dresses. And sometimes they say they feel sad that they spent all that money on a dress that they'll never wear again. I talked to hubby and he agreed, so the invitations went out and every person who had ever worn a wedding dress was invited to wear it to our wedding. Mother-in-law and the Seals got different invitation that specifically asked that they not wear white. Dress code was stated as whatever you're comfortable in. I wasn't there for the initial confusion that swiftly turned to rage, but my mom and brother gleefully recounted the story later. All 4 of them turned up in their beautiful white dresses with their beautiful makeup and hair, and were completely absorbed by the rest of the crowd. They didn't stand out. They looked exactly like everyone else. Except for my mom and brother's wife, who wore purple like me. They weren't going to ruin my day by upstaging me. My hubby, who up to that point really didn't think they would do something so vile, turned to stone that day. They had finally shown the depths that they would sink to and the last of the fog was swept away. I turned up in the sidecar of a Harley. I did experiment with riding in the dress, but it didn't end so well and the shop had to make a few emergency repairs the week before, and I walked down the aisle to the Imperial March by myself. My brother was my maid of honor and his wife was my hubby's best man. Remember the priest? Well, he wasn't allowed to officiate outside a church as a priest, so he was our MC. This was the icing on the cake, because I saw mother-in-law's face light up when she saw him. Until he introduced the marriage celebrant and handed her the microphone. We had a pagan hand fasting, jumped over a broomstick and walked back down the aisle to Sweet Child of Mine while our two kids played air guitar and danced ahead of us. And ignored mother-in-law and the sister-in-laws when they tried to get them to go over there. I came face to face with my mother-in-law at the door. She was incandescent with rage. She went to speak, but my hubby stepped forward, and he shushed her. Right in front of everyone. It was glorious. She didn't speak to either of us for the rest of the night. She didn't speak to us for nearly a month. And then she called one day to ask to see the kids as if nothing had happened. So I had to go, because my husband and I had one. But every now and then I wear the purple dress when I know she'll be at an event. Because I'm petty like that.